We live.
Welcome to the Remnant Wednesday night outreach meeting. My name is Key. I'll be leading the class tonight. This class is called Bring Your Oxygen Mask. I just want to tell Mr. Taylor, thank you for letting me lead the class this evening. Everybody looks beautiful in here. I wish y'all could see them. You know, um, we're gonna get into some things. We definitely going some places tonight for sure. We going some places. I hope you bringing it with you. You're gonna need it. So, I want to go into a few things before I get into that, and I want to speak on how everybody knows me by Key, right? Everybody in the room, they know me by Key. If you knew me, if you truly knew me before the information and from my city, you know my full first name and my last name probably. And my first name is Kivate, right? And my last name is Johnson. And I'm gonna break them down, because it's stories to it's a reason why my name is what it is, my first name, right? So you know last week I talked about how the scripture says, I knew you before I formed you in the womb, right? And you know, I want to talk about love a little bit because love is it's not really a feeling, is what I learned in the information. It's an experience, you know, because somebody could be so sad, because they love somebody. Somebody could even want to kill somebody because of how much they love them. Love can take you through so many different emotions. And somebody could be so in love with somebody that their heart is broken and they never want to experience that again, right? So you know, with my name. So I gotta go back to before when I was born. My mother, I love her. She is a woman that has stickum, right? And that's a woman that is gonna hold you down through whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Because the love that she has for you, it don't matter what you're going through, what you're dealing with, she gonna hold it down. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, whether it was something going on, some physical things going on, whatever within the relationship, she most likely still gonna be there. It's gonna have to be something happening, something to some type of trajectory to where she has to separate to you. She has to separate, you know what I'm saying, from you. She got to, right? So my mother, she was dealing with a man before my father, right? And his name was Keith. And I'll go into a little bit of the detail, but this was a man that she was dealing with for over 6 years. You know what I'm saying? And they would, it's like most of the relationships out here. It's things that go on. It's it may be some physical things going on. It's arguments. It's relationships have their things. They have their things within them, and things could get physical. And just to go into a little bit more about it, it was, she even knew that it was things going on to where her life could have been taken, right, from this man because of how much he loved her. You know what I'm saying? And she knew that, and she still decided to continue to deal with this individual, right? And it's not a slight to my mom. You know what I'm saying? She had stickum. She was just loving the person that she was with. Just like most women out here. They love who they are and they love who they're with and they want to hold them down, right? So, time goes on and it's around 1996, right? And you know, one night he comes over to my mother's house, and this is the reason why I never liked saying that I'm tired. I never liked saying that, and I'm gonna tell you why. Um, you know, he came to her house and he was telling her that he's so tired. He's tired. He's tired. He was repeatedly saying it. And what I'm telling you right now, this is something that I've heard growing up. You know what I'm saying? I've heard this story numerous of times growing up, and it's a part of me, which is why I'm speaking on it. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna see why. And so he was telling her that he was tired, and he ends up leaving and going to do his thing or whatever. The next morning she gets a call that he was ejected from a car, and where a church from a church pole. He was riding in a car with someone, and they was getting away from the police, and they ran into a church's pole, a church's sign, and he was ejected from the car. He died instantly from what happened. He passed away, right? And so, you know, and my mother tells me that, well, even people that were around her would tell her that, it was going to come to a point where it was going to be him or her. You know what I'm saying? Because, the things he was saying, that he was telling other people about my mother, that, he loved her so much that he would kill her, right? Love is an experience. You know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, my father, he was trying to, talk to my mom for so long, and she just wouldn't talk to him. You know what I'm saying? And so, after he passes away, my father is, now he's trying to get at her. You know what I'm saying? And I'm born in 97. The guy died in 1996. Like I said, his name was Keith. His name has nothing to do with my father. You know what I'm saying? So my name is Kivante. His name was Keith. That love that she had, you know what I'm saying? That experience of love continued on. And I got the name that I got from that, right? And I knew that the love that the Most High had for me trumped that, because the Most High loved me more than the love that they have for each other. The Most High trumped all of that, because if he didn't move him out the way, I wouldn't be right here right now, standing in front of you, giving you this information. That's why I knew that the Most High knew me before he formed me in the womb. You know what I'm saying? So that's the backstory on that, on my name. You know what I'm saying? And my last name, Johnson, right? We know that a lot of our people, these were names that the slave masters gave us, right? We got these names from them. They gave us these names. And I got partners that's like, in the nation and stuff like that. And they always talk about how your name, you need to change your name. That's not your name that you grew up with. I mean, that's not your name that you originate from. But what is our name though? Where do we come from for real? You know what I'm saying? Because just because we changing our last name, that don't change the inside of you. That don't change what's in the indoctrination inside of you. They don't change the things that you've been through. It just changing your government name in this country of your oppressors. It doesn't do nothing. So I've heard things about that, but it's just a name. It's not, because in the remnant, it's the inside out game. It starts in the inside. It's about the culture and getting back to your original culture. So my name, it doesn't have any effect on how I'm operating in the world. It doesn't have nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? So I heard that a lot, growing up. Even and back to my first name, even my siblings that I have from my father, I have different siblings, right? And they always treated me like an outsider or something, because I guess because my skin was a little lighter or something like that. I don't know, but I've experienced things with them growing up and how they treated me, just because they thought that wasn't my father. You know what I'm saying? And I know it's a lot of children out there that probably experience the same things, because y'all may have two different fathers but got the same mother. I grew up with, it was me, my mother, and my sister. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really get to be around my father's children, but when I tried to, I don't never forget how they treated me when I came around them. You know what I'm saying? When I was a little kid, you know, it's a things when you little, you don't forget those things. You know what I'm saying? You always remember how somebody treated you when you was a little kid. You never forget that. You never forget that. And I know that. And I grew up with that. And it was a part of why I may operate it towards, well, wanted to be kind of to myself, or, you know, not be around too many people, because I couldn't even go around my own siblings. You know, we have siblings, but I couldn't even be around y'all and y'all treat me like I'm y'all brother. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know why. You know, as a kid, you don't know why you being treated like that. You just being a kid, and you just want to have fun. So I knew, like, yeah, growing up with that, they always, you know, said my name wrong and just did little things just to treat me a certain way. And, you know, I got older, and then they want to kind of hang around. But, you know, and then I'm going somewhere with that too, because, you know, when I came upon the information, I got in the classes, right? And just the love that it was obedient, you know, that welcome home, you know what I'm saying? It's like welcome home, that instant love, that the real love that you feel, because it's love within the spirit. We're all after the same thing, but it's automatically, we see that you're valuing the information. You know what I'm saying? That the family scene, that I valued it, right? And they welcomed me in with open arms. So I'm saying that to say, don't nobody come before my remnant family. I'm sorry, it does, nobody come before them, man. You gonna have to value this information, man, because this ain't no game, and it is real love around here. And you know, when I came into the information, and this is something that I'll never forget. I've been in the information 20 months, 20 months, and when I first got into it, and I was digging the way that I was, and I still dig, you know what I'm saying? I still eat, I'm still after the Most High's heart every day, right? But when I first got into the information, I was mute. I was mute for about 5 days. Seriously, I was really mute. And for people that don't know what mute means, it is reframing from speech or temporarily speechless. And, you know, I'm in a crib with my lady, and I'm not really talking to her, like, you know what I'm saying? And she's not knowing what's going on, but I wouldn't be speaking like that, because it's like the realization of what's really going on in the world. Like, it was like my spirit, it was like the flesh was on like pause or something, right? Like, it was like my flesh was at like a standstill, you know, and it was like my spirit was like gaining that power back, like finally waking up. It was like my spirit was finally waking up, and gaining back power, gaining back control, gaining dominion over, you know, the flesh that I have, because I was really mute, man. Like, and that's something I never forget, because it was just nothing that I could say. But it's like once the spirit came back, and, well, awakened, once the spirit awakened, now it's like now I could it's like I could speak again. But it's like them little, like, you know, I'm talking, but it's like now the spirit is back, and now the spirit is alive, and I'm speaking. Now I can speak again. And that's really something that I went through coming into the information, right? And it's a good segue into what I want to get into. You know, when you operating in the world, you know, it's things that are going on in the world, and, you know, we people really don't know why they're happening, right? You know, and some people may say that they know why things are going on. But if you did know, then why do you operate the way you do? Why are you so stressed out? Why are you so depressed about things? Why are you feeling the way that you do? You really don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because you would operate as such, right? And you know, like I said, we're going some places today, and mainly I want to get into the book of Enoch. I really do, because it's some things in there, man. Like, it's so heavy, and, you know, I've spoken on Enoch before, and he is by far my favorite ancestor. You know what I'm saying? Because of what he experienced. You know, the Most High just took him. You know what I'm saying, and brought him up. You know, to the heavens. And it's like, what did he like? What did he do? And it talks about it in Hebrews. You know, I'm gonna go there, and we gonna go in there, and it's just I'm like, what did he do that was so, you know, important? Like, what did he do, right? And I'm gonna go in there. So Hebrews is Hebrews 5, Hebrews 11, verse 5, right? It says, by faith that pleased the Most High, Enoch was caught up and taken to heaven so that he would not have a glimpse of death. So Enoch did not experience death, right? You know, he just took him up there, right? And he was not found because the Most High had taken him. For even before he was taken to heaven, he received the testimony still on record that he had walked with the Most High and pleased him, right? But with my consciousness that I have now, it's like, well, we supposed to be operating in faith, right? Like we supposed to be, you know, being pleasing to the Most High. You know what I'm saying? We supposed to be operating in obedience and submission. Like that's what we're supposed to do, right? Like what did he do that was so, you know, like you need to come, like let me bring you. So you know, I did some digging, right? And I got into his book. You know, we was out in Hawaii and I was kind of talking about Enoch. We was outside, and you know, I was talking about how he my favorite ancestor and all that. And the Holy Spirit put on me like, well, get in this book then. Like, what you waiting on? Hop in this book and figure out what's up. Since it's your favorite, you know what I'm saying? You talking. So you know, I got into his book, and I was finding out more things about him. Like Enoch is the seventh generation descending from Adam, right? So he is so Adam and, you know, Eve, of course, they were perfect, you know. So Enoch is seven generations down from that perfection that was going on. But you got to think, because he ate the fruit with Eve, and you know that perfection was going after that. They could die after that, right? So it's like those earlier times where like it's like the heavens are, it's like they're more closer to what's going on, because it's like today we so far away from what was going on at that time. So it was like it was more they wasn't that far away from what's going on, but we so far, we done been in so much disobedience in all of this time, and we still in disobedience right now today. Our people done went through chattel slavery, and we still disobedient right now today. It don't make no sense. So you know, I get to digging, right, and in his book is book 4, chapter 1, and this is Enoch is taken, right. And it says, the first verse, it says, and it came to pass after this that his name during his lifetime was raised aloft to the Son of Man and to the Most High. It says Lord of Spirits in there, but that's the Most High God right there. From amongst those who dwell on the earth. Now, aloft, okay, that means in the air or higher position, right? Like that's what that means. So it was something going on to the point where Enoch name was getting to the heavens while he was, you know, operating in the world. It was something that he was doing, that his name was getting up there, and his name is being heard, right? And it says that, and he was raised aloft on the chariots of the spirits, and his name vanished amongst them, right? Vanished among them, you know. So he was no longer, wait, let me read. I'm getting ahead. Let me go to verse 3, because this one he talking. And it says, and from that day, I was no longer numbered amongst them, and he set me between the two winds. Now he's sitting here saying, this is what Enoch saying, well, I wasn't no human no more. After that, that was it. I wasn't amongst y'all no more. I wasn't with y'all no more, man. That was it right there. I was gone. And it says, set me between the two winds, between the north and the west, where the angels took the cords to measure for me the place for the elect and the righteous. Now, people don't know what the measuring the cords is, because a lot of the it talks about in the scriptures how when they're measuring the cords, the angels, they're measuring cords. It is something that they do when they're like measuring some space between like what is going on. It could be like a gate that they're it's okay. Hold on. Yeah, let me. 1 second. So in Ezekiel, it talks about how he had asked in Ezekiel, he had asked the angel, "What is he doing with this cord?" And he told him that it's a measuring rod to stand in the gateway, to where it's like they're making a separation between what's going on. So they're creating that. So you're able to, the angels, this is something that the angels do, that they do, right? So, and then it says, and there I saw the first fathers and the righteous who from the beginning dwell in that place, right? And then verse 5, and it came to pass after this that my spirit was translated and it ascended into the heavens. So this is him saying it's his spirit making that transformation, that his him leaving the human, the flesh, he's making that transition into the spirit, right? And then it's talking about what he sees when he gets up there. It says they were stepping on flames of fire, talking about the angels, right? They're stepping on flames of fire. Their garments were white and their faces shone like snow. It's some similarities in here. It's some similarities in different books in the scriptures that talk about the same things that each of our ancestors are seeing, right? So, and then he says, and I saw two streams of fire, and the light of that fire shone like hyacinth, and I fell on my face before the Most High. So now he's in heaven, right? And he's seeing the Most High God. He right here before him. He didn't experience death for nothing. You got to think about that. Just imagine them coming, the angels, the you being raised into the heavens, and now you looking at the Most High, right? Okay. And the angel Michael seized me by my right hand. So he down on the ground, the angel right there. Because you gotta think about this stuff, man. He is up around the angels, right? Like this ain't no little stuff, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is really what's going on. This is our culture right here. This ain't no little sci-fi stuff. This is like really what is going on. They really, this is really in the scriptures, man. This ain't they copying our culture. All these little sci-fi movies and stuff like that. This is our stuff, man. This is real. It's really what go on, man, in our culture, right? And it says that he lifted me up and led me forth into all the secrets, and he showed me all the secrets of righteousness. See, this is why I know why they took Enoch book up out of there, because all this stuff that is being talked about, and I'm not finished. It's the stuff that he was talking about in here that is like, because he's saying the angels telling him all the secrets of the heavens, right? So this is things that we don't even be thinking about. Like, our mind ain't even going over there at all. But you can't stop the Holy Ghost. You know what I'm saying? We back to the information. We back in our culture, right? And we putting it out there to the world. You know what I'm saying? So, and he showed me all the secrets of the ends of heaven, and the chambers, and all the chambers of all the stars, and all the luminaries, whence they proceed before the face of the Holy One. And he translated my spirit into the heaven of heavens, and I saw there, as it were, a structure built of crystals, and between those crystal tongues of living fire. Right? So this is the same stuff that when in Revelations where John was taken by that angel and he was showing that scene of heaven. If you know that if you know that scripture, it's the same things that he's saying that he said. It's a pattern going on right here, for real. Then verse 11, and my spirit saw the girdle which girt that house of fire, and on its four sides were streams full of living fire that girt that house. The same stuff John was seeing, man. And round about, and it talks about the angels, the different type of angels, the seraphims, the cherub. It says cherubic and Ophanim, and these are who sleep and guard the throne of his glory. And I saw angels who cannot be counted, 1,000 thousands and 10,000s, 10,000s encircling that house. Same thing that was in Revelation. Same thing in there, man. And Michael and Raphael and Gabriel and Phanuel and the holy angels who are above the heavens go in and out of that house, right? And they came from that house, and Michael and Gabriel and Raphael and many angels without number, and with them the head of days, right? His head, this is Yahweh that's being talked about, right? His head white and pure as wool, and his raiment indescribable. And I fell on my face, and my whole body became relaxed. What is how we operate out here? We be operating with poise. You know what I'm saying? Because we know who we are. We got poise inside of us. We are calm. See how you're calm, everybody in here? We so relaxed. Ain't no chaos going on. It just love up in here. You know what I'm saying? We we relaxed. Okay, let me see. And my spirit was transfigured, and I cried with a loud voice with the spirit of power, and blessed and glorified and extolled. And these blessings which went forth out of my mouth were well pleasing before that head of days. And that head of days came with Michael and Gabriel, Raphael and Phanuel, excuse me, and let me skip down to 20. And he came to me and greeted me with his voice and said unto me, this is the Son of Man who is born unto righteousness, and righteousness abides over him, and the righteousness of the head of days forsakes him not. Right? Claims unto me, shall righteousness never forsake me. With him, all place in their heritage. Now, all that, now, okay, with all of that, that I said, right? And it just makes me think, I was reading a little bit in that, but it just makes me think about the angels that were up there that came down and took wives for themselves, right? All of that high power stuff going on, and y'all see the beauty of women that are humans, and y'all want to come down here. You know what I'm saying? Y'all want to come down here and do that, right? And I'm going somewhere with this too. I really am. And I'm gonna go to book 1, chapter 3, the fallen angels. And it came to pass, and this is when they went down to do what they did, right? And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied in those days, and were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters, right? So they seeing what's going on. They seeing the beauty of them, and it's the specifics of it, right? Because in the other scriptures, it doesn't go into details about what was going on, and this is like talking about them specifically and who they were, right? And I'm not going to read all of the names, but it's parts in there that are important. And Simjaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not agree to do this deed. Because he said, one of the angels said before that, he said, come, let us choose wives from among the children of men and beget us children, right? So he talking about, man, let's go down there and get some wives. You know what I'm saying? Let's go, get some children down there. And Sim Jazz like, bro, listen, I don't know if we should be doing that. Like, we shouldn't be going down there doing that, right? And so, but you really messing with it. And he says, I fear ye will not indeed agree to this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin, right? So y'all up in heaven, and he already knowing what can happen, but he's still choosing to do it. It's like how we down here right now, and we knowing that if we doing something out of bounds, you know what I'm saying? We know the Most High looking at us. We know he looking dead at everything we doing, and we still choosing to do it. You out of pocket. You out of pocket. And they all answered him and said, let us all swear an oath and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Y'all still gonna do it? Y'all gonna y'all don't think he's seeing y'all what y'all doing? They obviously they ready to go. So then yeah, it talks about it says all their names, right? And I'm trying to get down to this part. So it's their names. And then it says, all of them came together and took wives for themselves. They began to go into them and defile themselves. So they just coming down doing as they please. You know what I'm saying? And they became pregnant and they bear great giants whose height was 3,000 eels. That's what it says in here. Who consumed all the acquisitions of men, right? So they're here now. It's they just taking over. These giants that grew, and they turned against mankind and they devoured them. So they started eating them. They real deal started eating them, right? So this part I'm trying to get to. And they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one's flesh, to drink the blood. Then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. And it's about to tell you what they were doing, right? The stuff, because it's spiritual, man. This is the angels coming down to do things in the natural world, right? And this is things that they was doing. And it says, and Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth. See, before that, no, they didn't know what was going. They didn't know this stuff. It was more. It was more peace going on. So they coming down here teaching combat and stuff. They over here like this. How you know what I'm saying? Like we kids today they got guns and stuff, but they sitting there showing them like this how you do this. This how you go to war. You know what I'm saying? For with who? Who you going to war with, right? And okay, and bracelets. So in the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of autonomy, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones, and all coloring tinctures, and there arose much godlessness, right? So now it's the indoctrination. It's like coming into them. They operating not how they're supposed to, right? And they committed fornication and were led astray and became corrupt in all their ways, right? But I want to skip down to this part, because it says in 13, it says Ezekiel, he taught the knowledge of the clouds, right? He Another one, Barak Kajel, he taught astrology. This little zodiac sign stuff that everybody, you know what I'm saying, into and all that. He was teaching that to people. Arachiel, the science of the earth, and the science of the sun, and Serial. So I'm reading that, right? So I gotta stop for a second, because it's just this is how my mind be working when I'm reading the scriptures. I'm like, okay, so these angels is fully they knowing stuff about the weather. You know what I'm saying? And we're it's weather conditions out here that can change somebody how they feel. You know what I'm saying? It can really mask how you operate about your day. It can shift things. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm digging even more, and I go over, I get from that, right? And um I get into how who's governing over the weather, because it talks about that in the book of Enoch. This is stuff that they don't want you to know. This is stuff that they don't want you to focus on. Well, be aware of. They don't want you to be aware of what's going on, right? So In book 3, chapter 2, calling Enoch, I'm gonna read verse 12 to 14, right? And it says, and he destined thy name to be among the holy and preserve amongst those who dwell on the earth. So this is when this book is calling Enoch, and it's those days. Yeah, so this is okay. So this is the backstory on Noah, right? Because in the times of Noah, right? So Lamech is Noah who built the ark. His father's name was Lamech, and his father's name was Methuselah, right? So Enoch, so Methuselah's father is Enoch. So Noah is the grandson of Enoch, right? And it talks about in the scripture how when, the times of Noah, that he would go talk to his grandfather. You know what I'm saying? Because he would go to a certain space in the ends of heavens and call his name, and he'll come to talk to him, right? And they will have conversations. And this is how he getting to know about the ark and stuff like that. Yes, the Most High was telling him things too, but he was also talking to his grandfather, right? And then so it says, "Will preserve thee amongst those who dwell on the earth, and destine thy righteous seed both for kingship and for great honors, and proceed a fountain of the righteousness." And after that, he showed. So this is Enoch talking to his grandson, right? And after that, he showed the angels of punishment who are prepared to come. And this is the part right here, right? Because we talking about, I said earlier when I first started about how the book of Enoch, they don't want us to know things that are going on in the world that we come out to see every day, right? So we out here in Seattle, right? We out here in Seattle. It's a lot of rain that's been going on. There's a lot of rain that's been going on, and it rains a lot out here. You know what I'm saying? And it's a percentile of people that have committed suicide because of how the weather is. You know what I'm saying? People really get into a depression about what they seeing when they come outside every day, right? And this the part I wanted to get to. I know we was reading, but this is the part I wanted to get to right here. And after he showed me the angels of punishment who are prepared to come and let loose all the powers of the waters which are beneath in the earth, in order to bring judgment and destruction on all who dwell on the earth, right? But that's the part, that's what got to do with Noah when the waters came, right? And the flood happened, right? But this is the part right here. This lets you know what's really going on. And the Most High gave commandment to the angels who were going forth that they should not cause the waters to rise, right? That's saying that the angels are in control. Listen to this part though. This gonna sound crazy right here. Not cause the waters to rise, but should hold them in check. That sounds like this game or something. Hold them in check. What you talking about? This is in the book of Enoch, man. This say I ain't write this. This is in here, man. Hold them in check. Are you serious? For those angels were over the powers of the waters. So you got to stop right there, man. So you telling me that because people be talking about weather machines and all this stuff, you got to know who in control of the weather and let the rain that's coming, the tsunamis, the every part of weather that's transpiring, it's a reason for it. It's not just happening just to happen. The angels is governing over it. The angels is governing over the weather, man. But when you under this obedience and submission, you can see those things, because somebody can just read it and just glaze over it, right? You know what I'm saying? And it's the rain that's going on out here in Seattle, right? So it made me think about the things that is going on out here. You know what I'm saying? The way, Seattle's a little different, right? You got your people that they do their things and stuff like that. It's more free, people do what they want to do, right? It's even they even got naked runs out here. These people are running naked like downtown, right? Do your thing or whatever, right? Um for real, do your thing. And this is in the judgment of angels right here, right? But those, and this is the book of the book of Noah, chapter 3, and this is verse 8. But those waters in those days shall serve for the kings and the mighty and the exalted and those who dwell on the earth, right? So you see people out here just doing whatever they want to do. You know what I'm saying? I said they doing naked runs out here, you know, for the healing and those who dwell on the earth. Let me start over again. But those waters shall in those days serve for the kings and the mighty and the exalted, right? And those who dwell on the earth for the healing of the body, but for the punishment of the spirit. Now their spirit is full of lust that they may be punished in their body, right? For they have denied the Most High and see their punishment daily, yet not because they do not believe in His name, right? So it makes you think about everything that's going on, even especially in Seattle, the rain is going on. Like, it's a reason why it's being allowed to happen. So when you know what's going on in the world, you can operate and live with that knowingness, because I believe that my life is perfect. You know what I'm saying? And I really operate as such. It just so much is going on that the little things, you know, that you're not paying attention to. Like I said, when I came into the information, I was mute for 5 days, man. Just the realization of what's going on and the things that transpire every day in our life. I'm just seeing that. Like, I'm seeing how people operating. You know, I was living in Miami, like, you could tell what's really going on once you get into the information, the sexualism, the just all the things that are transpiring, and you know who's governed over the weather. You ain't thinking about it. You ain't worried about what's going on. You just operate and you live your life, man. But you know, I just want to end with that. I want to close out with that. Blessings to you, man. That's it, man. Yeah. Oh yeah, you said you. Mm-hmm. Great job, Keith. Proud of you. Brought that thing.
Oh, thank you. All right. Good evening, everybody. So well, first, Key said something that made me think about a revelation I had shared with my family, and it was about the last name of a man. And I remember I had this thing of like, I don't want nobody with no typical. So I used to make jokes about like not wanting anybody with like a typical last name, because like, you know, my last name was Bill, so that's cool. Like, you know, Naya and Manas have a different last name, so I'm like, well, I don't want to marry nobody with like no basic last name and stuff like that. And so it was crazy, because the Holy Ghost came to me and it told me that it's not, and this wasn't even, they didn't even put a name on it, but it was said that it was not about the last name, it's about the man who put the work in, whose name it is. And I was like, dang, okay. So it just changed my perspective on that, because I don't know what that means later down the line. I don't know, but it was interesting, you know, and it's like, it just put a whole new level on it. So when Keith said that, it reminded me of that. And so I more so wanted to speak on my speech from 2 weeks ago, when I talked about like the information and well, not so much information, but more so about my dad and how it introduced us into the information. And so also to bring clarification on it, because I've explained it like, I feel like I put a sticker on that speech and not a bow on it. And that stuck with me for a minute, like full 2 weeks. But to get into it, you know, when I talked about my dad, it's hold on, y'all, I'm nervous. I don't know why I'm nervous. Anyway. No, I'm just acting brand new. Okay, but so you know, to get deeper into what it was, because I feel like I cut myself short, and instead of taking time into it, I just was like, whatever, I'm not really feeling it. And so, to go back into that, I remember like growing up, with my dad, this part will be important, but like when we were younger, um, like if we needed something done or something, like if our car broke down, like or to before we were even grown, like when we were younger, he didn't eat pork. That wasn't a thing when we moved in with him. And so when we would go to people's houses and they'll be like, "Do you and your kids eat pork?" And he'll be like, I don't know what they do." And I used to be like, "Dang, why you ain't like, why you don't just say that we don't? Like, if you know that, you do." But he used to be like, "I don't know." And so he kept that disposition. And like even when we got older, when we would get cars and he'll have a mechanic who he'll call the mechanic, he'll get him in same day. I'm like, "Can I get the mechanic number?" The mechanic telling me, "Yeah, you gotta wait 2 weeks. We booked up." I'm like, so I'll go to my dad, and my dad like, "Hey, that's your connection. You gotta, hey, tip him, give him some extra, whatever. You gotta build that connection." But he would not call under his name to get that car fixed for you. You gotta fix that. And so, it translated over into the remnant when he says how you have to carry your own cross. And like here, even though he led us before we got here, we had to take this spiritual accountability once we became adults to stand in it, because everything he did for us in the world became void. Like it didn't matter. The information was cool, but in order for us to stand and exist as our own beings, we couldn't bring that over here. We couldn't just hide up under that umbrella anymore. We had to stand. And so it just reminded me of that push of like, even if you didn't have that influence, you feel it. Like you understand that you can't hide up under Dre, because Dre is he gets his blessings, just like with the Most High working for us. Like when we all went to Hawaii, everybody pulling strings somehow. Everybody's getting housing somehow. Like it's based off you and your faith, and you see how when you go against it, it don't work for you. You're not going to get blessed with the same thing, because you didn't create that your own connection with the Most High in order to get blessed with that. And it's going to show if you just left out in the cold. It's like, dang, why you ain't why you ain't make that phone call? Why you ain't, whatever, not to us, but to the Most High. And it's the phone call doesn't mean like praying when it's convenient. It's putting that work in, building that relationship, giving when you can, and knowing that you're showing up and everything. And so, with that, um, it made me think about it deeper, as far as like he had shared with us. He just like how Dre shares, like when Dre knows when it's his time to go. My dad also told us years ago of when he will leave. And so we were aware of that. And I remember me and Naya just had this conversation like a year ago, and it was like, dang, do you ever think about how old we'll be? And like what Daddy shared with us about him leaving. And thinking about that is crazy, because it's not a worry, but it was always in the back of my mind, like, dang, what would that look like? Like what when he finally does leave, like how's that going to feel? And being in the remnant, now I finally have that answer of, if he was to leave tomorrow, I'm okay with that. And that's because we like, and I just started thinking deeper and deeper, because I'm like, although I opened up my speech about him, the Most High was the primary, and he was just the secondary. And I mean that in a sense. Well, in the remnant, you know what that means, but it's there, but it doesn't matter once that person leaves. And there's people who are it does. Okay, I'm gonna go into it, but the thing is, like, you meet that person and they're like, I lost this close person in my life and I've never been the same without them. And sometimes you'll be like, well, when did they leave? And they've been gone for 20 years. So you just been off for 20 years, and you ain't never been the same. But it's like having the Most High, there's that constant fulfillment, is that even if this person leaves, I will miss them, but I'm okay. Like the revelations are coming, the blessings are coming, I'm taken care of, because I'm still getting more, and I'll never have that lack unless I leave the Most High himself. So no matter who he brings, okay, don't be lying to me, y'all. But no, I'm just kidding. But so no matter who he removes out of your life, you're still going to stand, because you're empowered. And I realized in that aspect, that spiritual aspect of even in the remnant, it's that we're all here, but we're here, but our relationships are individual. It's us and the Most High, but because we all have that same focus, that's where that family dynamic comes in. That, but you won't feel that family dynamic if you don't have that focus on the Most High. And so although that was my introduction here with my family, it was times also where I couldn't hear my dad, just like how Dre has children, they're not in the remnant, and you'll be like, dang, why they not, like, you getting all of this and we see the value and you're not here. But there was times where he would be speaking to me and I was and like the information to be consistent, and I could not hear it. I was going off, I was doing my own thing, in the world, didn't want to hear it. Even when he joined the remnant, I couldn't hear it. It was like he was talking to me for months and I'm just like, I don't care. I heard $50 a month, I'm not paying that. I don't care what it is. Like, that's just where I was at with it. So it's to show that although I opened up with the influence, I didn't always follow it. It wasn't like I'm here and I had no other choice. It was like, no, I was in the world. I came back because I chose to stand on my own, not because I was coming back home to him. But when I heard Dre speak, I'm like, that's the Most High, because the Most High was with my dad the whole time. And I've always heard it, but I finally decided to accept it for myself, because it was still a choice. You can be here, like Dre said. I'm always give you an out. And my dad tried to be slick and give me out a couple weeks ago, so I caught it. I was like, I know what that is. So, but where was I going with that? So, where else was I going with that? Hold on, y'all, give me a second. So, as far as like, oh yeah, so just having like that direct connection and standing. I'm over here drawing a blank, but thank you, I appreciate it. um oh yeah, no, so I was going into like at times where I couldn't hear it, and so it made me value the information more when I realized that I was able to build with everybody again because of the Most High, and a lot of times it's like that he's the glue that hold everything together. Because even with my siblings, like, I'm the oldest of seven, and so here the blessing is like, although four of us is out here, all of my siblings aren't here, and so a lot of times people will look at it like, oh well, your family, and it's like, it's still that thing of like, and back in Michigan, it's like the conversations aren't the same. So when I'm talking to them, I can see how they also can't hear the Most High, or we don't have anything in common anymore. And it's like we're on two different pages. It's a whole separate household. And so it's like, although we're close, the conversations are fading because we all don't have that common denominator as far as focusing on the Most High. And it's like the reason why our household, my siblings and my dad, like we have that, we can communicate, but it's times where we wasn't. It was times where Elijah was gone for a minute, Naya was gone for a minute, like Manasseh was gone. Like, we all have separated where we all just weren't on the same page, and it would have never happened unless we aligned ourselves with the Most High. And like I talked about with the restoration. So, the foundation for greatness was there, but we all had to bury our own crosses to come together, which is the closest that everybody sees today. But it wasn't always like that. We may have had conflicting views, and when I say left, it was a couple years. Like, it wasn't just like 6 months you ain't seeing somebody. It'd be, Elijah number will always change. It's like, I can't get a hold of him. Like, today, you would not be able to expect that, or you wouldn't have known that. But it was that thing of like just experiencing how, even in the remnant, how people have steered off and they just disappear. There's no, like, you see them one day and they're completely gone because they've chose a different path. And so, that was basically what I wanted to speak on. And so it was funny because after I also said that in my speech 2 weeks ago, that, anytime I would be off, or like if I would bring something to my dad, I wanted to see where I went wrong at first before I had the conversation with him to see if it would line up. And so the funny thing is, after I spoke, I did not feel good about it. I'm not gonna lie, because I felt like I didn't. The message wasn't clear, and I didn't get it across, and I felt like it was rushed, and it just wasn't broad. And so I was like, dang, like I have made a joke like, yeah, I wanted to end class right after I got done speaking. So because I'm used to doing good, but I just didn't feel that way. And so, you know, afterwards, I remember telling Dove, she was the first person. I was like, I don't think I did that good. And she was like, no, don't don't be so hard on yourself, and you did good. But it's like I didn't feel it spiritually. I was like, it's not what I usually give. And I take my messages serious when I'm speaking to the world, because it's like it, especially with leadership, I don't want to just put anything out there. And even though that wasn't my intentions, that's how I internalized it. Like I just said whatever. And so I remember I walked right up to my dad, and he was looking at me, and I just shook my head. I was like, yeah, today wasn't it. So he was like, yeah, like, he agreed, and we sat and we talked about it. And so I was like, I feel like I put a sticker on instead of a bow. And so he was like, yeah. And then here come Dre walking up, like, let me talk to you for a second. So I was like, okay, like, yeah, yeah. So then that was a conversation. And so I felt like, because it wasn't even though I had opened up the speech with my dad, I felt like I let the Most High down and not my dad. Like that's how serious I take when I speak and when I'm giving counsel and things like that. It was like, dang, like I did not come with it, and that's the standard I hold myself to. Was like I want to make sure that I'm clear minded, and I'm like, this is our job. Like we are called to do this because the Most High said, okay, I'm about to put y'all together, and we about to make something work. And so where else was I going with it? Yeah.
There was a big thing in our chat last week, but you said something that I want you to cover.
Oh yeah.
You said after your speech, you felt a certain kind of way. You went to Dove, and Dove said, don't be so hard on yourself. Then you went to your dad, and your dad spoke to you about it. And then I came back and spoke to you about it.
Mm-hmm.
That was constructive criticism. You took that constructive criticism.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Can
Yeah.
you help people take the constructive? Can you talk on that?
So
you was able to take the constructive criticism, huh?
oh yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into it. So yeah. So okay, with the constructive criticism, I like people to be just upfront and honest with me. Like I don't. Okay. So the thing that I said in the chat was, um, when my dad came and talked to me, and then Drake came and talked to me, I didn't feel offended by it, because this, like, when I'm asking for the heat, that's what I'm asking for. Like I don't want you to sugarcoat anything with me. I don't want you to tell me good job because you got up there and speak. And I look at it as, if we're going to be taking this serious and going in front of the world, I'd rather start right now. So I take stuff like that serious. I'm not about to wait to get into the word or use an excuse if I don't like going up and speaking. And I don't. And it's funny because right after that, I told my mom, like, I'm about to start getting back, or what was it? I was like, I'm about to start getting back up and speaking, because I don't want to be that person that only speaks on Women's Day. I'm not about to, because before I would get out more. And so, yeah, it's just like, if it's bad, it's bad. I'd rather you just tell me, let me know right now, because it's something, as a leader, I take that serious. I want to be able to trust my counsel. And it also helps me because I know that when I'm striving for greatness. I'm constantly checking myself in that area. So even when I'm in the chat and I'm going out, like I'm open to correction. I'm not about to put myself in that chat and be like, don't say anything to me. I don't want to hear it, because you're small. You're limiting yourself, and that means that you only want to be heard, but you don't care enough to give proper counsel. You only want people to validate you, to make you feel good. But when your speech is not it, and you got two people coming up to you, you don't want to hear it. It's like you're never going to grow in that area. And I was telling my dad, it's like, I don't never want to be the recruiter where you give good information just to get somebody in the door. But once they get here and they're familiar, they realize you ain't talking about nothing, because it can get like that. You're only good enough as an introductory level, but when you're amongst other people, your intellect just stops. And I don't want to be in that category. I want to keep going. I want to keep growing. When the Most High gives me revelations, I'm working them out. I want to, it's that time and that effort I put into it. So I was open to it, and I told my dad, I knew that men was speaking. I'm like, I'm finna get back up there. I think Manasseh was like, on Men's Day. I was like, yes, I gotta go right. Like, I need to right my wrongs. But I didn't know that Dre was gonna call Naya and Dub up. But I was like, man, I'm finna get back up there, because I didn't feel right. And so I remember, like, back in the world, when I would get paid every 2 weeks and my check was short. And I'm like, I'm finna be mad the next 2 weeks till I get paid again. Like, that really used to be me. And so I felt like I was about to be, like, just not settled until I spoke again. But it was like, I was passionate in getting back up here, but I realized that the enemy was like, he also could change my disposition in that area. if I kept that like instead of understanding where I went wrong and fixing it, it was like this feeling of like wrongdoing. And it's like I didn't do wrong, I'm learning. It's that, like Dre say. So, you know, with that, it's like, yeah, like my dad, like when people are getting on him, like, oh, he mean it. Like my dad was like, yes, you're gonna get up there and apologize. I was like, I ain't gonna apologize. Like, like he just, so he was making me nervous because he like, yeah, you're gonna get up there, right? Like I'm talking even last night, yeah, you're gonna get up there and I'm like, I'm not apologizing, but I'm understanding, and and it's like you also, when you get constructive criticism, you can't shy away from it. Like it makes me want to pop out even more. It makes me want to do my job even more, because it's like this is what the Most High requires of us. And so I just look at it like them coming to me is them coming with love, because they have high standards for me. But imagine somebody calling you racial slurs in the world, or they coming after your. We have people in our family saying worse to us than saying do better in your speech. Like they would, yeah. I'm like, I was, so it's like I'm tough. I have tough skin to deal with that, because that's where I came from, especially with Dre. It's, well, no, I would say Dre is nicer than my dad. So if I can handle both of them at the same time, then it's like, that's just my standpoint. I don't know. So, well, I do know. I just said all of that. I'm nervous, y'all. I don't know why. But anyways, that was it.
I think that it's a show on how you didn't even tell anybody what had happened to you. Meaning that
Yeah.
It wasn't Paramount production. You accepted the criticism. It made you do the right thing. Not correct your speech, not necessarily.
Yeah.
But it made you want to be better constantly.
Yeah.
And you're up here and you nailed it.
You think so?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Okay.
And as they might not can hear me, but that's okay. But in as much as you feel about yourself, to be able to accept constructive criticism sets a high standard. Really, it does. And I appreciate you. I love you.
Thank you. I gotta get up.
Who's next?
What's going on?
Robbie, can we just take 1 minute before your testimony?
I'm gonna get there. I'm
Okay,
gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. So Tori said a lot, and it kind of like put something in my spirit as well, where she was talking about essentially your walk with the Most High, right? As an individual. Everyone right here is a family, but we all have our own walk with the Most High, right? So before getting into the information, or as I was getting into the information, right, I was looking into I was just focused on the classes and what the Most High was for me, right, and discovering that area in my life. And also, like, while I was sitting here, I started to look at the title of the class, Bring Your Oxygen Mask, right? And in the military, we get this training for gas. So they'll say like gas, 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 and we'll put a mask on. We'll do certain procedures to, clear out the air and be able to see clearly, right? So in the same way, when I was getting into the information, and for you, right, that's getting into the information, and that there's a lot of gas around you. There's a lot of things going on. There's your family, there's personal situations, financial situations. There's a lot of clutter that you can't see. When you get your mask on, when you get your information on, and you begin to understand, you begin to see clearly, right? You begin to really see what's going on. And if you notice on Key's testimony and class, you can tell that that was the thing that he was going through. And as for me, the same thing when I first got into it. I was like, wow, why all these things happening? Or I get why I get emotional at times. I get, just understanding about life and understanding about what's going on in the flesh and in the spiritual realm, right? So while I'm understanding this, I'm also indoctrinated. So there's a lot of stuff that's clearing out, right, throughout this mask that I'm having, right, throughout this information that I'm receiving. And it's just so happened that I had a woman with me at the time, right? I had a woman alongside with me, and class had started, and I wanted to share it with her, right? And I just wanted to see like how would she react to it, because if you're listening to this or if you're already in information, when you're sharing something to someone or when you can already see clearly, it's like you want someone else to see clearly as well, right? And there's two parts to that, right? Because when you believe or you have someone that's seeing clearly, you want to consider, and you see something wrong about them, like you want to provide the correction, right? I'm gonna get to that part. So as I'm trying to get her to see the mask, right, I started to realize that she's not as perhaps motivated as me, right? Or she is not getting the mask on quickly, right? So if you have someone that perhaps you may want them to get into the information, you gotta realize that it takes time. It takes time, and you have to allow them to follow their own path with the Most High. Let them learn how to put the mask on. Let them see the value in the mask and see if they can even breathe with it, right? Because you can see the information, you can listen to the information, but are you operating in it? Right? Are you understanding it? Are you seeing it how it's life changing? Because there was a scripture or a class that talked about how the Most High wants us to produce. So if you're listening to these classes and you're not producing fruits, your life is not changing. What are you here for? Right? Cut that tree down, right? And yeah, so what I can talk about myself is that I knew I wanted that mask, man. As soon as I put it on, I was like, I'm on, right? I'm on. I'm gonna go and travel and go to Seattle, and I'm here now, right? So because I have that mask on and I can see certain things, it's also like it hits you in a way when you care about someone and they're not seeing the same thing, right? But because you understand this information, you understand that they got to walk their own path. So that's me, and that woman was Kiana, and she's right here. Come here. There you go, baby. Eso. So of course, that woman was my baby Kiana, and she's gonna speak on her own. I'm not gonna talk for her, right? But I want to talk about what I felt and what I knew and the things, what I experienced on my end, because there's two sides of the same story, right? So now she comes through, and I can see that she's getting into the information, and um, she's in the information, right? But the other side that I wanted to explain was, you can look at the camera too. You know what I mean? The other side that I wanted to explain to about what checking and providing that leadership, providing that guidance, right? I felt that I was doing it the wrong way because I was constantly trying to pressure someone, get it right, get it right, get it right. So the Holy Ghost gave me a class where I had to understand that at the same time, while you're trying to teach someone, you've done your part, and that's it, right? You've done your part as a leader, and you're gonna speak about that in a few, right? Um, you gotta leave hands. You gotta leave the situation to the Most High, and I didn't understand that until I got it. But when I got it, hands off, right? Hands off. I gotta do nothing, right? I didn't gotta do nothing, and now my baby is here, and she's my wife. Of course, she's my wife. Okay. It's the first time here in Seattle. Yeah. Right. So I met Kiana in the indoctrination. Did it fell off?
Oh, it's me.
Right. Yeah. So we was in the indoctrination, and what I tell Kiana is that when I first met her, it was like something that I knew that she was gonna be my wife. I just didn't never said nothing. Right. I knew something, and this is gonna be, intimate, and my wife already knows this, right? I'm gonna share it. Okay. Um, so when I met her, I only met her because of as a sexual level, right? I only met her on a sexual level, and that was it. That's what all we were doing, right? She know who I was. She know what I was doing. I knew what she was doing, but we was just in our own paths, having fun. We've all been there. Sure. So no big deal. Nah, no big deal. Just saying what it is, right? And yeah, as I'm learning my manhood, or what I called manhood in the indoctrination, I started to learn that, as a leader, we give women instructions and they follow. And the more she follows, the more she's into you, and the more she does for you, the more she's into you. And, it was a lot of stuff. So Kiana was just so happened to do all that, right? When I told her to do something, not that I was requesting anything wild or anything, but I was telling her, hey, be here at a certain time, wear this, wear that, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and she was always operating since the beginning, and I didn't see that, or I saw that, but I saw that in an indoctrinated way, not in a remnant way. So she was definitely a woman that I was definitely interested in. But because of my indoctrination, I just continued to do all the other stuff that I was doing. And I didn't see that. I didn't see that value into that. So fast forward, because of certain things that were happening, I introduced her to the information, and that eventually led us to having what we have now, right? One thing I do want to mention is that we did end up getting together, right? And there was something about, because I always tell her that I'm light years ahead of her, right? Because I got in the information a little bit faster than her, and I had 3 months in before I even introduced it to her, and by the time she got in her, I had already been digging and digging and digging, right? So, one of my trepidations was that she was only in the information because of me, right? And I was trying to do the Most High's job instead of allowing the Most High's job to do his job, right? So I was just thinking for him and doing things for him, and that wasn't fair for her. I didn't realize that up until I continued to get into the information and and the Holy Ghost delivers, definitely delivers, man. So my weird thinking, I break up with her, and I know deep down that I don't want to do that, right? And I never should have got in with her because at least my way of thinking is that I'm gonna get with her whenever she is in Seattle, because then I'll know that she is really about the Most High, right? But I didn't do that, and it was a mistake of mine, right, to do that, break up with her and then leave, right? But I did tell her something, uh, even in my mistake, right? Or see, I call it a mistake, but I see the Most High in that too, right? Because I see how with that he gave me more understanding on me, but it was a growth on me and then growth on her, because there's some things that she had to go through as well, right? So I see the Holy Ghost in all of that, right? And fast forward, um, I come over here, and man, as I'm coming over here, I'm still talking to her, right? And I told her, I was like, look, just because we broke up and anything doesn't mean I stopped loving you, right? Because you was always a woman for me, and you was always a woman I will continue to love and respect because of all the stuff that you did for me, right? And I skipped the part where I told her, but it just came back to me, that before I left, I told her that just believe in the Most High, right? If you're really for the Most High, who knows? Just believe in Him. But in the back of my mind, I knew that if she was, because I asked the Most High, I was like, she's meant for me, then I know you're gonna make it happen, right? So when I come over here and she's seeing me do this, I'm just operating, continue to learn more, and the first day I got here, I got even more word, and it's just, constantly just flushing out a lot of stuff that made me indoctrinated. And to this day, I'm continuously growing into more, right? And well, fast forward in the future, she's here. And yeah, she arrived on Saturday, and that night I picked her up, little limo, you know what I'm saying? I had to surprise her a little bit. Let's surprise her a little bit. Definitely want to surprise her because she wasn't expecting that any of that, right? Picked her up. We went to Seattle. We took some pictures in the city. Came back to the room set up already too. So yeah, she definitely she got the ring, and she's my wife. Yes. Yeah. So
Boy. Okay. It's a lot.
go ahead, Mama.
Did this fall off again?
Mhm.
I want to fix it.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
You always see her up in class, right? Right.
Consistent, yes. I'm a little nervous, not gonna lie, but I feel so welcomed. I'm just so grateful to be here. Highly grateful. All praise to the Most High. Okay, where do I start? I'm gonna talk about when I first got into the information, and that was earlier this year, February. Yeah, at the time, talking to Rafi here, and we're just at the time obviously getting to know each other way more, and then he was already in these classes, already getting to know the information. But I had no idea about that. So when he brought it up to me, it was like we were together, I think, in the car, and then he just was like, "Here, I want you to listen to this," and he just puts on the class, and I'm like listening, and I'm like, okay. Okay. I'm like, there's a lot that Dre's saying that's like at the time, obviously, I'm like, he said what? Like what? It's like mind blowing. Like my mind's going everywhere, and I'm very open to the whole information, but it wasn't at the time. I didn't understand it because obviously that was just literally the first time. So moving forward, I think there was another time after that we were together again, and he put another class on, and then this time Dre was saying some things like, it doesn't matter what you want, the Most High, like things like that, and I'm just like, it doesn't matter. Wait, what I want doesn't matter? What do you mean? I want to be this. I want to have a husband. I want to do this, and that doesn't matter. So my mind, heavily indoctrinated. Just hearing that, yes, my mind was blowing, and yes, it was like my thought process was conflicting in my head, but it kind of intrigued me way, way more into listening or wanting to listen to more. So whenever I was with Rafa here and we were driving, he would put on a class, listening to more classes, and he would take me home, and then we would not finish class. I'd be like, oh, so, next time, see, you're gonna finish that class. He was like, no, you can just buy it. And I'm just like, okay. And I remember a few days later after that, I get home and we're on a phone call and we're talking about spirituality, because at that time, getting to know him and everything, and we never talked about like spirituality or anything like that. We never got into that, and so this information, I could say now, obviously, it was changing his thought process and just how he like acted and everything, and I was surprised. I'm not gonna lie, very surprised, and I was like, I don't know how to describe it. I was just surprised. So when we had that phone call and we talked about spirituality and how, he talking about how, for a future partner, you want a woman in this information because it's very important. And if that's not something for me or anything, then I don't think it will work. And I was like, and previously, prior to this, there's been situations in my past, and future I'll get into everything, but for right now, there's been a lot of situations in the past where I'm thinking this is like religious stuff. So I'm like, oh no, not this again, because I have experiences in the past that I was really iffy about religion. I've seen how it made people act. It didn't seem strong enough to me, so I just didn't believe in it. It made people, I would say, crazy. So I didn't have good experiences with that. So moving forward, when I heard him talk about that conversation with me, I'm just like, not this again. I'm out. I don't know about this. But I don't know, something after the phone call, surprisingly, I'm thinking like, oh, I don't know about this. I'm like kind of swaying away from it, but something at the time I'm thinking it's something, it was the Most High. It was the Most High. To be open-minded. So I go into the class, buy the class. I gotta make this worth it. Buy the class, and then I get into, what was one of my first classes? Oh man, such a while ago. I watched a class, and I'm like, after that class, watch another class, and another class, and I'm like, I get into this, but I want to and backtrack. When I was on a phone call with him, I did tell him that I would be open to it, but there's no like promises or anything that I'll be open to it, but that's it. And so now that I know that I was intrigued with the information in the classes, I didn't want to tell him right away because I didn't want to make it seem like I'm only looking into it because of him. I wanted to do it on my own if I really was going to get into this. And weirdly, one of my things in the beginning of that year, or this year actually, was to create a relationship with the Most High. It really was. And the fact that he presented that information to me, it was just seemed like everything came together. So it was perfect. At the time, I didn't realize that was that. So yeah, so I get into more in classes. I don't tell him because I, again, don't want him to think that it's just because of him that I'm getting into it. I want to make sure that I'm actually going to commit to this. And turns out I definitely did. And I get more into the classes, but I am, when I finally tell him, and then we like discover more of this information, we have conversations about it, definitely could tell he was definitely ahead of me. And I did have there's a lot to learn for sure. And a lot to learn. No, I'm just looking at you. But a lot to learn. I'm drawing a blank right now. What the heck? I hate this. What did I want to say after that?
You can talk about your process of you getting into the information and you seeing me and me coming over here and that change.
Right. Actually, right. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, having conversations, and then I was struggling to grasp on the information quicker. He was just like eating them up like this, and I was like, it took me a while. Yeah, it definitely took me a while to actually interpret the information, and just really be able to act on the information as well in situations that would happen. So yeah, I've been through, yeah.
What happened to you as far as you understanding the seriousness that Rafi had when he actually moved down here?
Oh, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Getting to that, yeah. So yeah, so at the time it's been like a month or so, and now it's like March, and me and Rafa are talking, and he's talking about thinking about moving to Seattle. I was like, Seattle? What do you mean? What do you mean? And then he was like, yeah, he's really thinking about it. And I'm like, if that's what you feel you need to do, then you do that. Of course, I didn't want to like think like I was holding him back. If that's what the information was letting me know to do, then I'm not gonna sit here and tell him, like, be the one to be like, oh no, you shouldn't do that. Why are you doing that? Like, be like, have that like the enemy basically. I didn't want him to think of me like that. But it made me a little sad because I'm like, Seattle, and at the time I wasn't even thinking about myself going to Seattle. Again, I'm just getting into the information, and so him saying that, it's like, dang, okay, and I'm still trying to grasp at the time here. And that's when it like actually did hit me that, yeah, he's taking this way serious. Like, I feel like he's taking this serious. Okay, he's moving. And then I know from Rafa in the indoctrination that when he makes a decision, he sticks to that. And so once, like a couple weeks later, he decided that he's moving to Seattle, I know that was final. He was definitely going. So even throughout that time, just again, still me getting the information, but still not thinking about moving here, still making that big step, there was a lot of like confliction going on. He was ahead. I'm still grasping a lot of things, a lot of salting. That salting had me dragging, just dragging me, chokehold, the enemy. Oh my gosh. Just dragged. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And I feel like in my salting, a lot of my salting was used with him, or like our situations. It would definitely be situations I know the Most High put me in to get a lot out of me, because I have so much, and I still am, like, getting that salting out. But the beginning, it was a thing after a thing after a thing after a thing, and it was just like I said, I was getting dragged. But yeah, so around that time, we were just like, he's going through assaulting too, so we're both going through assaulting, and we're like, oh, it's just a lot of learning, and the information I'm grasping now at this time, but I'm still having a hard time applying the information now. Like, I could grasp it now, I can remember, but when we get into a situation that the Most High put me in, it's like a fall. And then I would get up, but I took a while to get up. So that was something I had to definitely work on. And then moving forward, after a couple months after that, me and Rafa, he asks me to be his girlfriend. And that's something that came out of nowhere. And this was like a few months before he was gonna go to Seattle. And I still wasn't making the decision to go. I didn't even think about it still. But he asked me to be his girlfriend. I was very surprised, but yeah, I said yeah. And we were dating, and then just a lot of that salting we just had to definitely go through. In that situation, I'm glad that happened. And then a lot of salting.
How was your salting after he left?
After he left, it was so after he left. Wait, Auntie, I'm gonna get there. I promise you. Got together, and then yes, he broke up with me. And he told me why at the time. But when he broke up with me, he was telling me, if the Most High, if we're meant to be together, then the Most High will do his work. And so that's something he left me at. So, I mean, usually in the doctrination, a breakup would like tear me apart. But I couldn't even be, because I had the Most High. The fact that he said that, it just amped me up. I don't know. It was like the Most High. I know you, like, this is a situation you presented, and this needed to happen. So I'm just gonna trust you. This is all you. So, I don't know where my life's going right now. I don't know. I'm not sure. I am not sure what's happening, but I'm just going to trust you. No questions. And so we do continue talking, and he definitely leaves, and then I'm happy that situation definitely took place, because I felt like when I was with him, I was afraid to let him know how I really felt about certain things. And so when we did break up, I let him know that, I love him. I love you.
I love you too, baby.
I let him know that, and that's something that I've been thinking. It has been in my, like, on my mind for a couple months, but there was just a lot of fear there, to let him know that. I was just afraid to. afraid to just let him know, basically, what I really felt about him. But the fact that we weren't together and I don't know where we were gonna go, or if maybe they were not gonna be in my life anymore. I just want to let him know that, and it's not to see if he was gonna respond or to see if he was gonna come back or anything. It was just to let him know, because I felt like that moment presented itself, so it could let go of that fear. Because there's a lot of my salting was out of fear, and so just letting him know that it released so much off of me, and I wasn't expecting anything at all. And then he tells me he loves me too, and we do end up still talking to each other. He's already here and everything, and then eventually we got back together, and then we went through a lot of salting around that time too, because we weren't together. It was a lot of phone calls, a lot of video calls, and one thing about me and him is like communication. And so that I'm glad that he was over here while I was over there, because it gave us some time to work on that. Definitely work a lot of things out and be able to now move in the spirit of love with each other whenever we got into maybe argument or anything, or a situation, or just misunderstanding or communication. And he started talking about how he wanted me to be his wife one day, or soon, or whatnot. And I started to see that too. Saw that. I've been wanted to be with him, but just a lot of things had to happen for us to be where we are today. And I wouldn't change it for a thing. And all praises to the Most High about that. But yeah, and then my decision for coming to Seattle, nothing to do with him. It happened during our breakup when I was just amped up, like I said, and I wanted to show the Most High that, I'm hands off on this, and I just want to trust you, and I want to take this serious now. I've been taking it serious. I've been very consistent, but now I want to be able to do this work for you in person. So that day, brought that plane ticket. I was like, all right. And then I planned it for December. So I'm like, okay, I got 4 months. Let's go. Okay. And
That's right.
and I wanted to, because if the Most High didn't want me to be here, I wouldn't be here. But the fact that I am, that's why I keep saying I'm so grateful, because even this information being presented and just me being able to receive this information, I know I was chosen, but the fact that I'm actually here, it's different, because I'm really chosen, like the Most High, like what? I'm so grateful. But yeah.
Man, I'm in there.
Oh my gosh, baby. But yeah, I'm just really grateful. But yeah, and I'm here. He proposed to me. I wasn't expecting that on that day. I know it was gonna happen eventually, but I'm grateful for that. Just a lot of blessings happening right now. I'm just so grateful, and I'll never forget the most. This is all the Most High. I won't. I'm lost for words right now, but It's all him. It's all him. My life has been. It's been. Yes, like I've been dragged, but that the salting and everything, it was just for the better. Obviously, it's just my life before and that indoctrination. It was not it. It was not it. So just all the blessings. I'm just lost words right now, but I'm very grateful. Yeah, that's my. I probably forgot a lot of parts, but like I said, in the future, I'll get into specific details and everything about how this information has it's changed me for the better. So yeah, that's my that's how I got into information. Yeah, and I'm here.
What's next? Oh, great.
Oh, me perfect. Yeah. Tag team, man. Yeah, we got you. All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
Oh, I'm sweaty.
Love y'all, man.
Speak. Oh,
Huh?
All right.
What's up, man?
So to start
What's
it off,
going on?
so we got some receipts today.
That's right. That's right.
So we're gonna start it off. You want to start it off, or you want me to start it off?
I'll start off a little bit. Kind of rebounded to you.
Mhm.
Well, I'm gonna take it back a little bit though, because just to show them where we came from, right? When we first got, even before we got here, you know, I had jumped in the chat one day when everybody was planning on moving here. I jumped in the chat because I knew I was gonna come out here. I just didn't know how it was gonna go, but I knew I was coming. So I jumped in the chat one day and I asked, what did I say? I think I asked somebody who else was coming out here trying to go half on the Airbnb.
Right.
Cause I looked at some prices. I didn't have the whole thing. So Brandon was the first and maybe the only one that really that reached out and said he would be willing to go half as well. So
I saw the opportunity to come out to Seattle. Most High was giving me a sign to move out here. Okay, I needed that. Okay, but continue.
Likewise, right? So he jumped on it. So we made the move. We stayed up in a Airbnb for about a month and a half when we came out here March 5th. During the time that the time was winding down to get out of the Airbnb, I wasn't sure what we was about to do. Like I really was sitting in my car. I was sitting in my car practicing. Like I let my seat back. I said, if I got to lay in this car, man, let me get used to it right now. I'm in there practicing like, I can do this. True story. But where you at? Hey, shout out to Chris. Come on, man. Shout out to Chris, man. Chris really came with the information that a lot of us needed, that we took advantage of, which was for the program that the homeless shelter had going on. We didn't know nothing about it. You know, we could have took steps to make a way worse decision. But Chris came with the information that the Most High wanted us to have, that placed us not under the best circumstances, but we know how to make it work. You know what I'm saying? We can make it to where it's like nothing. We can make any situation doable, you know? So we stayed up in that homeless shelter. You know, I remember when I first got there, one of the first things before they took me to my room, they said, yeah, just to let you know, we got roaches in here.
I ain't like hearing that.
Yeah, they kind of hit me at the end with it. Like I said, all right, that's cool. Let's go. You know, over the time, you know, with the war with the roaches, they had little mice running around or whatever, but that wasn't about nothing. I lived with that back at home at some point in time, right? So time fast forward, I guess about 8, 9 months we stayed up in there.
Yeah, around there.
like April till, yeah. So the time came when we went to the program directors and everything, and we let them know we were ready. We were looking for a place, and they gave us the instructions on what to do or whatnot. And one of the requirements that they needed was, well, for one, let me preface it. What's the word? Preface it with this. The program is a few different programs, right? But the one we were trying to take advantage of, it pays for your move-in costs, waives the credit check, any of that stuff, right? And it pays for first 3 months, right? It's cool. But since we were kind of in a hurry to do it, they were only allowing us to use one sector of the program, which was they just pay for the move-in costs. It's a month. Cool. But let's see, during that time, what had happened was we found the spot. We was going back and forth over there to see it and sign the paperwork or whatnot, and letting the people know that we found the spot. And during that time, the people back at the homeless shelter needed our monthly income. And there was a certain amount of income that you can't make, otherwise you won't be able to qualify for the 3 months. So we were over that, which, you know, that you qualify for. We was over that. So the lady told me that, yeah, you probably ain't gonna be able to qualify for that 3 months because y'all make over the required amount. So, you know, that was where I would say I took a fall at, because I ran with that narrative. I even told a loved one, I said, yeah, I don't think we're gonna be able to get that 3 months, man. And that's when Brandon came in. You know, man, I got so much respect and love for my brother right here, man.
Mm-hmm.
He had to come in and pick me back up and check me about that disposition that I had. So,
but it's the information in me, because my experiences with the Most High has been what he deals with me is because how I started out was there was a lot of fear involved. So is anything that tries to tell me otherwise, it's like, nah, we got to see this through.
mm-hmm.
We're going to keep going until the Most High says so.
That's right.
He has to say otherwise. If he doesn't say otherwise, I'm not accepting no. So I told you, what did I tell you exactly? I told you, hold on, give me a second.
Mm-hmm.
I told him, well, you don't know that because she hasn't called you yet.
Mm-hmm.
You already bow down before you even get the answer. And then
you didn't say I bowed down.
Nah, you didn't say that.
He didn't say that.
And
He said it. He said it. Come with the whole truth.
And it's just iron to sharpen iron. Because so then you know you bow down before you get the truth, and I mean before you get the call. What did I want to say after that? So we was like, dang. Sorry, let me get back to me.
Oh yeah, take your time.
Oh, because I was remembering a situation too that when Dre was locked up, you know, he was the judge sentenced him to be guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And even then he was like, listen, even if, you know, he looked towards Dove and he said, no matter what, believe in him. So these situations where people are kind of like, they feel like they have to say so. Most High placed them there, but see, Most High places them there, but it's only for them. It's only for us. He's testing us.
Test your faith.
So it's like, okay, are you gonna still believe me, even though she said no, whoever you might say no? But that's kind of the gist of what I was saying. Like, no matter even if the judge says you're guilty, no matter if whoever, it doesn't matter. Believe in him.
That's right.
So you can continue.
So yeah, because that situation, Dre didn't even know that I think it was a federal judge or something, had the power to overturn a conviction, a sentencing judge. He didn't know that. Just like I didn't know that the lady who really dealt with our case and really cut the check had the power on whether we was going to get the benefits that we were looking for or not. And that thing really, that fall, man, made me just feel less than who I really am. And that's bad enough. So I had to get back up from that. But at the same time, what his faith is, what Dre was telling us the other day, like his faith doesn't, how did he say it?
Oh, my belief doesn't make up for your belief. How did you say it, Dre?
I don't even think Dre even in here. He left a while back.
So he said something on the lines of, my belief
doesn't have
bearings on his belief.
Right.
So even though his belief he had to work on his belief, my belief still made a way for both of us.
Right.
That's what I got from what Dre said. So and what it does is what I learned from at least what I've learned as far as what it could sharpen in you is because as iron sharpens iron, that's a level you could take with you to move on to wherever it is you need to do for the Most High, right? And personally, what I've learned from that situation, being in the shelter, is the relief doctrine really don't, because we be in the shelter and there's a lot of people with mental illnesses and things like that.
Oh yeah.
And
excuse me.
They don't really have the necessity to get out of it. Like, so they could be in that shelter for years. I'm hearing people being in there for years
and in there for years,
and there's they steady going in that circle because they might come and go and come back because they don't have a way of maneuvering. That's how the indoctrination is. That's how the curse is, anyways. So it goes back in circles, right? And so because we in there and we have the relief doctrine of knowing that this is our God and this is what we're gonna have a good attitude through, and we know that it's cultivating our endurance, the testing of our faith, and no matter what, to believe in Him, that there's a purpose behind it. We're not even gonna know what the purpose is until we get through it. The only way out is through. And so when we get to a point when we're leaving, there's an older gentleman there that kind of starts talking to us, and that's when it kind of hit me right then and there. It's like, so you guys are going? He says, you guys are going already? Oh, yeah, man, it's time to. Yeah, it's a place you come through and you pass through and you go. You don't come back. You move on, and that's when it hit me. It was like the indoctrination doesn't give you a space to move on from anything. It keeps you bound to those things that, in my personal experience, I spoke on it before, is the fear. It just keeps you in torment in a circle. You might find something that try to get you out of it, but if you attach yourself, because it's part of the indoctrination, you just still wrapped up in torment. Wrapped up in torment. Even when I was pulling myself out of here, that's how the enemy came at me again. Fear. Oh, you're gonna be homeless. You're gonna be in a shelter. And look what happened. He put me right in the shelter. And then because of the information is what I conquered throughout the shelter. And so Yeah, that's all I wanted to say on my part of what I learned. I'll let Jay speak on what he learned and what he wanted to talk about.
Yeah, that's the biggest part was definitely not to lose my faith over what I see with my eyes. You know, that thing was just detrimental the way it made me feel of that fall. But to move forward, the lady who really had the power, you know, we ended up meeting her at the apartment. And I'm like, okay, this the last day. This is move-in day. I don't know if we gonna get. They ain't saying nothing. I'm like, okay, I'm cool with the move-in month. But once we get there, like at the last minute before I finish signing the lease, she let me know that what we're gonna do is end up paying for you a month and me a month. But that's still not the 3 months. See, before that, we had already came in the apartment and they had a move-in special. It was 6 weeks. So the lady said, we weren't able to get you to 6 weeks, but we got you to 4. I said, come on, that's the 3 months right there, baby. That's the 3 months right there, man. And it was like the way he put it together, like right there at the last minute, you was like, wow. You know, they paid up our insurance for the whole year, just a bunch of stuff that I didn't even see coming. And it was just such a blessing, man. And yeah, man, if anybody is going through something like that, like you don't really see the light, just keep pressing and don't give up the faith and have a fall. Like, learn from me. Don't have a fall like I did and then be and feeling that sorrow. Then, I mean, you know, you get back up, but you know, you can still learn from somebody else fall, you know. So I'm just thankful, man, and that everybody that been helping out, people didn't send money, you know, people didn't really came through for us in our time of need. So, man, I'm just thankful, really. So that's all I want to say. All praise to the Most High God.
Just to close, so I do appreciate the people that sent money during the time. I think his name was Student of Game.
Student for Life, I believe.
Student for Life.
Shout
He
out
did
to
send
you.
money. I want to thank him for that. And you know, come join the classes, get your culture, because that's the only way you're going to conquer what the system has been doing to you. And so, you know, those things that you have to overcome you can only be found in this relief doctrine. You can't find it nowhere else. That's why I would encourage you to get into classes. Thank you.
Sorry, but she was. Got it?
Oh.
Yeah, that one. Go ahead. Knock him out.
Okay, so a few months ago, I left and went through some things, of course, because the Most High salting you, or like building you, or leveling you up for whatever He has for you in the future, never stops. And that's one thing that I had to learn when I left, because when I left, I really just left because I wanted to go with my mom and, you know, just love her and be with her for a little bit so that I can leave and go with my dad and just be in the remnant because I love the remnant as much as I love anybody. Like I love everybody, and the remnant is. I have a very special like thing for the remnant because they helped me experience family. Like I never experienced people who love me except my dad. And that's really it. And
your mom.
and my mom. But the part that I wanted to get to, the part that I wanted to get to was the Most High. Dre do say this a lot. Is like the Most High will use anybody to help you learn what you need to learn, especially if He needs you for something and it's coming up and He wants you to get that immediately. If you can't get it immediately, then that's you. My mom was actually somebody that I had to. She was a formidable opponent. Like she pushed me enough to have to use the information a lot. Like I did actually try to introduce her to the information, like give her, I tried to talk to her about it plenty of times, but it's not meant for everyone, as I had to learn with her. And she pushed it away a lot. And I, of course, like sometimes when you love someone, like she was talking about, when you love someone, you continue to try even though it won't work, because the Most High has to show you, maybe through them, that it's just not meant for everyone. It's just not. You can't change what the Most High has already said. You can't change what the Most High has already. Like He might have something for you in the future and you won't even know. You won't even know because you're just living your life until the Most High shows Himself or somebody presents the information to you, and that's when you get the world and the eyes to see Him and the Holy Ghost moving, just moving in general, like, or blessings. You might not even know that it's a blessing until, because earlier my dad was talking to me about something and I didn't like it until he actually took me through a whole entire literal article like a literal article about it. And and after that, I was open-minded to it. And before that though, I did not want to think about it at all. I was like, nope, I do not want to do it. But then he talked to me about it, and I don't really care unless he bring up the information and he's like, nope, you got to do this because it's either the remnant or like just something. I don't really care though if it's not. But I just wanted to say basically the whole thing, that the moral of the story, the Most High can use anybody for your salting, any lessons, Him leveling you up, and you just can't miss your blessing either. You gotta always be in your spiritual mind and not your carnal mind, because when you're in your carnal mind, you really won't see anything at all. You won't see Him putting you through situations to get your blessing, and you will miss a whole lot. You'll miss the whole world. He'll fly past you and you won't even know. So yeah, that's it. Thank you, y'all.
Right.
What's the name of the class? Gas mask?
What's that?
What's the name of the class? Gas mask? Gas
Bring your mask.
Bring your mask. All right. My name is Trevor Grant. I come from Hartford, Connecticut. And yeah, first thing once you hear Connecticut, you think like the suburbs, everybody bougie, but I grew up in the projects, and it wasn't easy growing up. And my only relief then was my big brother. So if you from that area, Rice Heights, Charter Oak, my brother Stevie. And Stevie was everything to me. He was the only person that sat me down and taught me something. He taught me how to fight. He taught me how to ride a bike. He even had me talk to girls on the phone, you know, when I was little. So yeah, he was everything to me. He was really literally all I had. And I grew up in a household where it was me and my brother and my mom. We're all biological blood related. And my stepdad, he came in with his two uh, sons, James and Michael. But we're all family. We're all brothers. And so when I was 13, you know, I got into some trouble with some big dudes, some dudes that was way older than me, too big for me. I couldn't beat them. And I could always call my brother for some help. Like I remember, you know, Matt, so many times when somebody bigger than me mess with me, I could call my brother. And this time I called my brother, and when I called him, he sounded upset. And I called him, I was like, Stevie, these dudes keep messing with me, man. Can you come get them for me? And he sounded irritated, and he was like, he told me, you know, everybody called me Scooty from the projects back around the way of my whole family. He was like, Scooty. He was like, I'm not gonna be here forever to help you. You gotta learn how to help yourself. And that was the last words he ever told me. He died. He shot himself that night, you know, and that was a big, big loss, because since then, I felt like I never had anyone. You know, I remember the first Thanksgiving I ever had. The first Thanksgiving I ever had, I felt by myself because, you know, my stepdad had his kids, you know, and all I had was my brother. So it was kind of, I didn't really feel in place. I felt alone ever since then. And I know, you know, Mom, JD, y'all going to watch this. I don't hold anything towards y'all. I know y'all love me, and you know, I knew the indoctrination you guys grew up in, so I'm not mad at y'all. But I just got to tell it like how it is, because I felt like I ain't had nobody. Like my whole life, even though I had a lot of friends, I ain't had nobody because my big brother was gone. So boom, I remember, right? So time passed. I'm like 14 years old, and this is the first time I seen American Pimp. And I remember it back at this time, it wasn't anything like it. It's not like today where you could look up a pimp and, you know, get some game. It wasn't nothing like it. I remember this is when DVDs first came out, and I went to my boy's house. I was like, oh, is this movie good? I was like, boom, I'm gonna come back and get it. Bruh, I got on my bike. I rode my bike like 7 miles to go get that movie. Came back, covered up all the windows in my room, hooked up the DVD player in the stereo to the stereo, like how my brother taught me, so it could sound like a real movie theater. Got a crate set in front of the TV because I wanted some game, right? So boom, I'm like, yeah, I'm about to see what's going on. I'm about to hear from the horse's mouth what's about to happen. So boom, first thing you see is Andre. He was like, what he say? He said, he was like, man, he was like, if they didn't, he said, as long as you got your manhood, they haven't taken anything from you at all. You know, and the way how he stood and presented himself moved me so much. I remember at his whole segment, I was like, dang, they should have just made the movie about him. And I was right, because even though those brothers was in there saying some stuff, he was the only one that was kicking real game that I took on in life. And then after his segment, I was like, if I can learn from anybody, I want to learn from him. So boom, time go on. I had my first experience with the Most High, and I didn't have the information in, but I was still, because the Most High did something so big for me. I was like, whoa, you really like that? So I start moving, and then, the salt came. I didn't know it was the salt. I didn't know. And before, it was like all sunshine and rainbows. It's around this time. So I started my walk with the Most High in 2011. No, yeah, 2011, November 2011. I got the information in November 2016. 2016 was so messed up for me because all the, not having my brother around really was the source of it, and I'm around a bunch of people, that they say they love me. I'm pretty sure they do, but they don't really mess with me, man. Nobody wasn't calling me, and whenever I come around, they'll try to back away, they ain't want to mess with me. I'm like, yo, the only people who mess with me was my boy Muhammad and my cousin Donnie and my sister Treviana. That was it. But the people who I grew up with, nobody wasn't messing with me. So, and then I start hearing about family events and nobody didn't call me about it. Bro, that tore me apart. So I start thinking about taking my life around September. And, it's tough because I'm going back to memory lane and I'm feeling that energy where I was at. But I started thinking about taking my life, man, and I found every reason to do it and no reason not to. And it was like a 3-month process, like every day. Then when I was like, all right, I'm about to do it. I started looking up ways how to do it. Then I was like, man, I'm about to just do it like how my brother did it, But before I did, because I had such a great experience with the Most High before it, I start getting at him because he did some amazing things for me. You understand? So I got angry. I remember I was living out of a hotel room because, I was staying over my mother's house and everything. They had a drug problem and I couldn't just stay there. So I was living out of a hotel. And I'm just laying in the bed and I'm angry. I'm like, God, you did all this, man, what happened? And then you did all these great things for me. And then this is what it's like being a Black man in America. All that stuff is hitting me. And by the way, I felt like I had this big void. It was like a big hole of emptiness and sorrow. And I remember in 2016, I tried to fill it up with sex and drugs and partying. And it's draining me. So I just want to say, if you're going through something like that, don't turn to those things. Your best bet is to, turn to the Most High and get on this information. So I'm laying in bed, right? I'm like, God, man, let's see if you could get me out of this one. God, I was getting at him. Like, let's see if you could stop me from doing what I'm about to do. Right after I said that, I switched on everything I love. It was like the strangest thing. It was like if you know how you take a lighter and it goes like right in where the soul is, which each flicker, it was like a flicker, a flame of joy, like. And then I remember I was like, man, that ain't gonna work. I was like, that ain't gonna work. So I woke up the next morning and that flicker turned into like a little small struck match of flame. It was like a flame of joy. It was like beaming. And I'm still, feeling down, but I'm moving. That little flame so it started on Friday. by Monday, it turned into like a small little fire, you know, and I'm acknowledging it and it's keeping me going. By Wednesday, I completely forgot where I was at. I didn't know what was going on at that time, you know, but the pain just went away. Where I was at on that Friday, I completely forgot. By the next Friday, 7 days later, bruh, that flame was like all over my body. I couldn't even control myself. I was in the hotel room trying to do backflips on the bed and everything. It was crazy. I felt like a kid again. So, you know, I'm gonna have to give you my 5 later, but I was like, I want to listen. I said, I want to listen to some Pip-ish. I was like, I want to hear some Pip's game. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I did. I put it on. First, I was put on Gangsta Brown. Gangsta Brown ain't have nothing. Then I put it on Iceberg, and I never really got into Iceberg because it just seemed like you got to be deceitful. You know, it seemed like a lot of trickery going on. So I let that play, and I went to go use the bathroom. And while I was in the bathroom, the first thing I hear, I was like, it said, "You got to be a man." No, first he said, "Write this down, because what you about to hear is incredible." And then he said, "You got to be a man. Before you learn anything, you got to learn how to be a man." Bruh, when I heard that voice, it immediately took me back to when I seen American Pimp, and I was like, I want to learn from him, because I seen something then. I got out the bathroom, I looked, I was like, it looked like him, but he ain't had the hair. You know, little pompadour, he ain't had the hair. So I was like, what's his name? It said andreltaylor. I looked him up, whole bunch of other people named andreltaylor. But when I put andreltaylor Pimp, now he pop up. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, oh, he got a channel. So that's how that was my introduction to the information, you know, and the class is called gas. Bring your oxygen mask. Mm-hmm. That was my oxygen mask.
Oh, come on, Trevor.
I couldn't breathe. That's why I was ready to die. Soon as I got the information, I didn't even realize where I was at. And by the way, that whole flame of joy the Most High gave me, it lasted the whole year. The whole year. It was just that whole year, 2017 was so good. It just was bad. It was just such a good time for me. But that's how I got the information, man, and it has been my life source since then, you know. And if you're going through something, and this was 2016, what? It's 2025, right? It's about to be 2026. You know what I'm saying? I'm still here. You know what I'm saying? I'm still here. I started way back then when Daily Fires first started. So if you're going through something, right, and you're feeling sorrow, you got that emptiness of anger and frustration, and you really feel like you about to go over the edge, I suggest you come here, you know, and getting this information, man, because it's going to open up your eyes to it. One more thing too. When I got the information, I heard everybody say the same thing. Soon as you get it, it just open up your eyes to the world. Like I'm like, oh, everything just started to make sense. I start listening to people who I didn't get. Now I get what they're saying. I start moving better. You know what I mean? It's just been a blessing since then. So you know, all praises to the Most High on that.
Ooh, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm gonna give it to y'all like the Most High giving it to me, man. It's been I get up here sometimes and I have a multitude of things I want to go over in my mind, but he always settles me on what I want to deliver to y'all, the people at home. So, you know, Most High deals. I like what Brandon said earlier about the fear, the way he, the Most High deals with him through his fear. The Most High has a tendency to deal with me through my words often, right? So, because I understand what the impact of your words can do to somebody and what it can reveal, what it can do, what it can lead to. So that brings me to understanding what leadership is, right? Because that go hand in hand. So me and Thorough, we've been having a lot of conversations, man. It's been beautiful just being able to talk to another loved one that's here, understand this information, really just understand like how we had some similarities going dealing with the world and indoctrination in the past. So he was telling me a story about some things he went through even recently, and just understand those at home that some of those things he went through, it will make any normal man without this information be crippled. It wouldn't even know what to do with it. So for him to be able to stand through those things is just the epitome of what this information can do for your life, right? So him telling some stories, we keep traveling back in time, like we time travel a little bit. And it took me back to some situations where, again, I knew that my words was the cause of somebody's downfall in a way, or just their impending, not even just the way that the character was being belittled and everything like that. So I'm gonna take it back there. So I'm gonna share with you the story of the person back in 2015, 2014, I used to be, versus today, the remnant man that I am today before you with this information. So there was a situation back in the day. I was tight. I had a woman that was down for me. She was down. You know, some of y'all called her rider or whatever. She was cool, but the way I used to put it, you know, we were like Whitney and Bobby without the drugs, like Martin and Gina. You know, it was always good and it was always fun. So, and understanding when those times were there, that's when things seem to be the best, right? And the reason I'm bringing this up because something D said class and the men's, we're doing the men's panel. He was speaking on generational trauma as well, right? And how we move within those things. And little did I know what was the impact from me dealing with me, because I thought I was a product of, I was told at an early age, I'm gonna be a product of my environment. That's all you're gonna be. You're gonna be a product in your environment by somebody that I thought was close to me, but just telling me that no matter what you do, don't forget that. And all I used to see is just the lifestyle of having fun, women, just doing your thing, enjoying yourself, not really taking your words seriously. You don't have to have integrity. You don't have to be accountable. You just move through life like you want to and move on to the next thing. And so, like I said, being in this situation, this relationship at the time, I didn't know the impact that I had when I agreed to, I'm gonna lead you. I'm gonna be a man with you. Come follow me. So I would do my thing. Some days I would go out, we have fun, we have a good time. We kick it, we do our thing. But then there would be a time where it's like, you know what? I don't want to talk to you today. Like, what is that about? It was just it was a reaction to something I was shown. And like, okay, you take your assets away. If she's whatever she's doing as a result of that thing. So it's like, cool, I'm gonna just do this one day. And so repeated behavior like that, going out, having fun, just ignoring the calls, ignoring the texts, thinking that you're proving a point because you want to put somebody in their place for something they done to you, or you feel like some type of way about it that you bigger than what you say you are. Just being in indoctrination, acting silly, man. So having that time that led to somebody just continuously, like just the lies piling up, all that. She would just see that in the demonstration of the man that I was. Slowly we start trusting you. Slowly you see the distance happening. And then there comes a time where, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just drop it off or something, You don't have to be responsible for it. You still can be in it, but you don't feel like you need to be responsible for it. So it's just that back and forth, that cycle, like we say, of just the fun, the lifestyle, the sets, and then rinse and repeat which is not leading to anything. So I'm in that space, and I see her over there. It's getting, distance. The distance becoming larger and larger. So a few days later, just because of the result, some months pass. She started just, calling, making calls, saying stuff that I'm gonna hurt myself, I'm gonna do this and do all this and that. I'm like, I take it serious to the point where like, I don't want you to do that. Why would you do that yourself? It's like because of the decisions you're making when it comes to just how we've been together. I've been loyal to you, I've been here for you, I've been doing these things, and you still show up this way to me. Like, oh. And I had to eat that because not the disclaimer, I know for a fact I'm not responsible what's in another person's head. That ain't it. But I am responsible for the impact you have on somebody's life that you've been participating in and that you expect you to lead as a man. That is paramount. So through that display, she just kept getting, things just got worse and rougher and rougher. We battled, got through it to a point I thought it was cool. And then one day, I get a phone call from her. And her way was coping too. I know I'm speeding through some things, but her way of coping with things were usually she would go to just alcohol, drink to excess. And the trauma comes from like her father having to deal with that too, because it's what she saw growing up and having to deal with that abuse to her mother. And I never realized that until later. She shared that with me. And so through that display, like I said, I go back, I got a call and it's her on the phone and she's already been drinking. It's like 3 a.m. in the morning. Like, it's like, hey, I need you to come get me. I'm like, where you at? And she wouldn't tell me where she was at. So where you at? She just wouldn't tell me. I was like, okay, if you just stay where you at and I'll come get you. Repeatedly the same conversation happening. And then she finally said, I know where you at. I could just come to you. I said, I don't think that's a good idea. And she said, no, I can make it. I'm gonna do it anyway. Again, I told her to stay where she at. So 15 minutes pass. I'm trying to find a location, figure out where she's at. I take off in my car. The next thing I know, before I make it out my driveway, there's like a light pole right here. And the car comes careening into the light pole and it smashes it in half. Like it splits the light pole in half and the car just is on top of it. So immediately I'm in shock. So I'm thinking, because I'm like, whose vehicle is that? Then I recognize the vehicle. It's her vehicle. And through that display, it was just, I just had to take a pause. Like I'm in shock to just seeing the vehicle up there, like in the position that it was. I'm thinking there's no way she could have survived. And so immediately I rushed over to the vehicle, called 911, we talked. I got her out, and luckily she didn't have any serious injuries on her to that nature. But she ended up having to do, of course, she had an alcohol limit that was above the limit you can drive at that time, and things transpired, jail, all these things, just different outcomes for her life that could have been altered if I understood and was better at that leadership portion that I should have been at that time with that woman. And I'm gonna say this about it though. The reason I wasn't, because again, the indoctrination has you thinking that you are a man that can move through this life with having your egotistical ways, just wanting to be the better, the best, but doing it out of pride or some self-righteousness is just, it's not the way you move out here. The indoctrination has you think you're justified in that, and that will get you nowhere in life, really. And so the reason I brought her up though, because from that display, that taught me that through that situation, somebody's life was impacted to a point where they did some time for me. They did some things that they shouldn't have to be going through because I was lacking. I didn't want to take it serious at the time. So fast forward to today, the man before you, what I've been given in this information, that's just one example, but through these lessons up to this point, man, I'm just a man of integrity, just character. And it's paramount because I know the severity of what my word can do to a person now. So I don't take that lightly. I take it seriously. And I know my God is watching me whenever I operate in that manner too, because again, he deals with me through my words. I look to a point to be on top of myself more so than most people. So that's why I said what Raphael was saying, the importance of his display with him and Kiana, seeing that earlier, man, it was just beautiful because that's what real leadership does for you. That's what it does for your life. The woman wants to be there for you. She wants to follow. She wants to come with you and be a part of your life and what you have to offer. I've seen it, been a part of that. That's the beauty of it, though. And the development it takes in this information to get to that point is being with your God, being beside your God. And you can get that too. I want to tell you out there, you don't have to be deceitful. You don't have to be misusing your words. You don't have to tell lies, play silly games. You can be over here with this information and really develop yourself from the men and women that you see before you. There's no limit to what you can do over here. And that's the beauty of that thing. It's just the Most High is giving me so much to where like now I feel like I'm impenetrable with certain things when it comes to the world. It's just the words, the way the world deal with things, the carnal world, it ain't even big enough, to be honest with you. And the beauty of it, the way I confirmed this, so hold on to this, but I'll share it too. I had a conversation with a coworker yesterday. And this was actually before, early in the day. And his name is Danny. And he's probably 62 years old, older gentleman. And I don't know. I haven't shared too much about myself with Danny, so it was interesting that he said something to me. He was like, we had a conversation in passing at work, just talking about daily things, how we go about establishing certain goals we're trying to achieve in the area and for our store, what we're trying to accomplish, certain things like that. But he said something one day. It was about God, and he just said, God is first for me. It's like, yeah, Danny. It's like, yeah, okay. He said something. I was like, yeah, that's how I feel. The reason I'm, God has put him first before in everything in my life. So I'm glad you said something like that. But I left it at that because, I don't want to impose anything on. I left it at that. So he said something to me yesterday, and it was like, Rob, he was like, I've been thinking about you. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I've been thinking about you. He was like, the last couple of days I've been thinking about you. So I'm like, what you mean? And he said something. He was like, I know we had a conversation previously about, my life and what I've been through. And he was like, I just want to make sure, I was thinking about you at your age and where you at with things. I was like, you, out of everybody else here, you move different. It's like, yeah, I want to tell him this is that remnant, but he ain't gonna know what that means. So I was like, okay. He's like, yeah, it's like just the way you go about things, the way you talk with people, the way you around them, something just different. I was like, yeah, but he said, he said, I'm at this store. He said, I look for different things in people sometimes. The older I am, he's like, I just go around, I just try to talk to people and I look for some different things to see how they just go about themselves, or how they react, or what their goals are, what they're trying to accomplish. He said, you're always straightforward and you're focused on things. You're trying to get it done. And I was like, yeah. It's like you have a way of talking with people that's here. It's like, yeah, it's in me. But he said something that was paramount because Danny's background, man, he's an individual that's been through some interesting things in life. And that's why it was very just impactful the way he was saying things, because we were sitting down and he was like, I want to tell you something. He was like, my wife, she got in an injury a year ago. She got in a horseback accident when she fell off a horse and she rode down a hill, and she ended up cracking her skull, and her top skull, half of her skull came off, and she ended up having to get it put back on. He found it, he put it back on himself. And Danny was telling that story because it was like, so now, she was in a coma for 6 months, and he said every day, now that she hasn't recovered, she recovered to a point where she can function, but she doesn't remember who I am. She's like, so every day I go there, she doesn't remember my face. She throws food at me sometimes. She just doesn't quite remember me. And he's like, the reason I work at the store, because I take time from home to be here so I don't have to be overwhelmed with the way it feels to not have somebody that close to me that know me. And so he says he just gives his time when he's there, and any money he gets, he donates it to a charity. So he just really, he was telling me, it's like, so I want to say something to you though. I want you to know nobody will never know how much that hurts me, how much pain that I'm in when I come here and I go home. He said, you know why you don't know that? Because I don't show it. You know why? Because the Most High wants it that way. He was like, because God wants it that way. He doesn't want to see me. He doesn't want you to see me suffer. I'm a faithful servant. I understand, because I've been blessed with many things, and I'm going to show up. Sometimes I feel like I'm Job. Sometimes I feel like it's being just whooped on because of the pain that I feel every time that happens to me. And then from there, he's like, I'm telling you this because we've been given gifts. I want you to understand something. He said, we got gifts. Like gifts. And he was like, I want you to make sure that you're using your gifts. Like, that's why I'm saying that, because we got gifts of being given. He was like, I've been blessed with so much. I've been blessed with so much that I can't even look at God like that. I can't even look at him to the point where, like, I wouldn't be thankful for what he's done for me, even in this situation. So I would never. He's like, I know my wife since I was 15. It's like, we've been married since we've been 20, you know, and it was just impactful just to see that this is a man that's going through that right now, on top of everything else he's been through in life. And he said, I want to show you something. And he just started pulling out his phone, started showing me stuff. And he was like, he just started showing me Academy Awards. He started showing me Grammys. They had his name on it. He was like, I just want to share this with you. I'm a ghostwriter. I want you, I'm a ghostwriter. He was just sharing this stuff. He was like, I want you to see this because this is what God has given me. This is the blessing he's been able to give me. I couldn't do this without him. I wouldn't be in this position to be able to be given this gift and write this music the way I do because of my life and what I've been through. It's like I've been through so much with his as a child, coming up to this point, the way he grew up, being from a background, just trying to be able to get through the mud. He was from Mexico, from Spain, I'm sorry, just being able to do all these things and achieve what he's achieved and just showing that to me. He was just saying that this is not me. He said, the thing I want you to remember the most, put God at the center of everything you do. That's what I do. And I was like, this is confirmation right here, because God's talking through this man to me. Because these are things that I already realize and know. These are things that I understood. We've been given in the remnant. The information tells us and transfers to us. And so for him to show it to me like that, it's just further confirmation where I'm supposed to be and making sure that I'm giving my gifts my all, not just a little bit to each and every one of my loved ones. That's the dedication that I am here for, to do this work. So I want to tell y'all this out there, give your gifts, man. Don't just let it be something that's you have things in you that need to be cultivated, but you can do it over here in this remnant. So make sure you're not wasting or squandering them things, man. I want to encourage y'all to do that. So all praises. All praises.
Next time. Come on, Ruff.
Close it up.
Come on, close it out, bro.
All praises, man. Again, thank Keith for teaching class today. The loved one did a beautiful job on that awesome maths. Catch us. You can catch us on YouTube on Monday and Friday at 7 p.m. What else? Instagram.
Instagram, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 p.m.
Come on. And OnlyFans on Thursday at 7. Get this information, y'all. Get in class. It'll change your life, and it's meant for that. We love you. All praise.